Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, that could have a moment of silence, please. Okay, thank you. I want to welcome everybody that's here and everybody that's viewing. Next item is roll call. I'm going to start with Commissioner Stieben.
Here.
Culbertson.
Here.
KAAZ.
Here.
Smith here. Doug.
Here.
All right. Okay, public comment. I don't think I saw any. All ours is out towards the end of the meeting. Mark, do you have anything for the group?
Commissioner, I do not have any administrative business this morning.
David?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, if I might, last Thursday received an email from the attorneys representing Leavenworth County and 8,700 other odd municipalities in the nation regarding opioid litigation. A bankruptcy plan has been submitted for one of the many defendants. It's not Purdue Pharma. And the voting deadline for the approval of that bankruptcy plan is today. As far as a practical effect, since we have 1/8700th of the vote, our position is really not, to be honest with you, dispositive, but I would like your authority to go ahead and accept our counsel's advice and cast our vote in approving that bankruptcy plan. I cannot tell you, given the scope of the plan, what recovery Leavenworth County will receive or when that might occur. I certainly don't believe it would have any significant budgetary impact on the county. In other words, we're not going to get much, if anything, from this part of it.
Yeah, but we've gone this far, so you just need a direction to
I would like the
proceed.
board to vote to approve, casting vote to approve the submitted bankruptcy plan.
So moved.
Second.
Any more discussion on that? Commissioner Stieben?
Aye.
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 I was getting ready to say, who's that person not voting yet? It's me. Mark, you got anything else? Okay, one other item I just want to need to get a thing. On the 29th of September, I will not be here. I'll be in Georgia, and I need someone to sit in my place for that one time as a chairman. So, if I understand it right, we just need to get someone to volunteer and have a motion and to do it. Is that correct? So, who wants the hot seat for one day? Oh, come on now.
I
Chairman
move
should
that
appoint.
Okay.
Miss KAAZ be our chairman for that day.
I'll second it.
Oh,
Motion and second. No more discussion.
Aye.
Aye. Welcome.
okay. What day is that?
29th. It's 2 weeks.
Next week.
You got to be
2
there.
weeks.
Oh, 2
I have
weeks.
to
2
be
weeks. I
here
just wanted to
2
get it out
weeks.
of line. Yeah.
Okay.
You going to be gone 2 weeks or 1 week?
Just 1 week.
Oh.
I had to change it. I had to go see my folks down in
Yeah.
Georgia. They're up in their 80s. Yeah, Mike.
Mr. Chairman, the item on the agenda about the township clerk, I didn't find out about this till Friday, and I haven't had an opportunity to visit with the folks down there about it, and or the person that's submitted his application. So I'd like to have, and there's a couple other people I think would like to put their applications in. So.
Deadline's passed.
Well, I didn't know about it till Friday, so I visited with Mark. He said we could extend the deadline.
Okay. Well, I visited with the gentleman. He's very qualified. He's been and done it before.
Well, I'm not arguing with that, but I
Yeah.
told the folks last time that I would have a collaborative process with them and visit with the township board folks first, and I didn't want to be blindsided by it.
But it was a public notice. It was in the paper. It was on the deal. There was the process was followed about as far as seeking applicants.
Well, I understand that, but I didn't know the fellow had submitted his resignation until Friday. So I just want to follow the process to where I can get some input from the township board folks that are on there now. And
I think we all knew it.
well, I didn't know it until I visited.
I mean, I'm just speaking. I knew about it, and it went through the process, and there was a deadline, and that was last Friday, I believe, wasn't it?
Well, my understanding is that the commissioner from the district is supposed to be the one that makes the appointment, and I didn't know about it till last Friday, and I would like to have an opportunity to have a couple more weeks to vet this situation and make sure that we got everybody on board. I'm trying to find where everybody can work together.
Okay.
How does the rest of the board feel about that?
It's fine with me if that's the commissioner for the district that wants to extend it.
Okay.
Vicky? What are we talking about?
2 weeks.
Couple weeks. And I just want to have an opportunity to visit with everybody.
Okay. Like I said, I visited with the person.
I'll go along, but I tell you,
Yeah.
I have when saying get people in front of here, and we have to change it. I understand, Mike, but when we have to change it to do something, I'd like this to run a little more smoother. And I know you didn't find out till Friday, but I hate to go back when someone's volunteered. Same time I support it, it's your district. So can I get a motion to? I guess we need to table this for 2 weeks. Is that right, Mark?
Extend the deadline for 2 weeks.
David, how would you like to see it?
Well, Commissioners, in order to, the deadline, you'd basically have to table the matter and reopen the application process. I would suggest you set a deadline sometime before 2 weeks from today's date, if that's when you would intend to make it or take a dispositive action, possibly the Friday before.
That's fine.
I would also suggest you go through the same procedure that was followed initially, which would be a published notice in the newspaper.
So moved.
Well, remember, I won't be here in 2 weeks. So
Calling in?
no. I'll
Well,
be up in Smoky Mountains. My dad,
I just want them to
they
be.
barely have electricity up there. So.
The next township board meeting's on the October the 4th, I believe. So I just want to be able to get that person.
Y'all can do it without me. I'm just saying I won't be here
Okay.
on the 29th.
Commissioner, possibly to avoid what what recently occurred, you might want to set the deadline for the Thursday before the 29th meeting, if that's what you prefer to have it, or
Well, we need to
believe
probably
Commissioner
have that
Stevens
seat
suggesting
filled
an
by
even
then, so
longer delay.
By the 4th.
can we have the
The seat filled by the 4th? Is that what you're saying?
well, it just seems that we need to have the seat filled. We also need to have the letter published, probably in the newspaper have it sent in today, if at all possible, to be on Fridays, Leavenworth Times, and then the application to be sent in no later than
Next Thursday.
Next Thursday?
Not tomorrow, but the week after.
All right. So moved.
because
I got you.
this needs to be done sooner than later if that's
Okay.
what we're going to do, because it's
Everybody okay with? Go ahead, David. You have something else?
obviously
Commissioner
the notice was sufficient that whoever the applicant was submitted, and that it was sufficient that somebody submitted an application to.
I just wasn't made aware that there was a vacancy, and that's the.
But the township obviously was board. I mean,
We have to
Yeah, but
re-advertise and all that.
I'm just
or
saying,
can't we
yeah.
just
that's
extend the deadline.
no. You have to.
Well, the
I
public
would
notice
sug-
has already been sent. I mean,
Deadline's already passed, so you'd have to reopen.
Okay. I didn't know that
Commissioners,
was
if
part
I
of it.
could, do you also wish to maintain or continue to accept the application you previously received, or would that individual be required?
We need to maintain the
Maintain,
application
yeah.
that has already been received.
Absolutely.
Or can we just table this until Commissioner Stevens meets with his township board members and the applicant?
And Commissioner, I'd counsel you in meeting with the township board members with respect to the Open Meetings Act.
Right. Yeah. We'll visit about that. Do we need a motion on that, or can that be consensus?
I think it'd be a motion to table this matter, but I think for clarification, it would be the intent of the board that the previously submitted application be considered accepted, that a deadline for additional applications be extended until next Thursday at noon, and that the position be re-advertised as had been previously done.
David, is that one motion or two, since we have to table it?
I think it's a combined motion. Table it with those elements contained within it.
Oh, so moved.
In a second.
Second.
Any more discussion? Commissioner Stieben?
Aye.
Aye.
Vicky?
No.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Anything else from any of the commissioners before we move on?
Chairman,
Go
I just
ahead.
got one thing. We've been talking about the revisiting the comp plan and reviewing the comp plan on our yearly deal. And I just wanted to throw out there that, it's stuff that I want the commissioners to be thinking about. I want to throw it out there in an open meeting that we all can hear it and all think about. And if anybody else has any concerns that they would like to bring up. We had denied a conditional use permit or special use permit based on the comp plan of that boat storage. And in looking at the comp or the land use study, there's going to be very limited SUPs we'll be able to approve following that comp plan. So that's something else I would like to revisit in the comp plan is the special use permits and conditional use permits on some of these things, because we have quite a few special use permits that are approved, these home-based businesses. I think that's how people get started. We may have to put some limits on that they're not guaranteed renewals and stuff like that every 5 years. But I just don't want to see us be anti-business where people can start their businesses out of their home and then transition into a different facility. So I'm just throwing that out there. That's what I'm thinking about. I've got my list going, and that was something that really...
You do want people to be able to start their family business.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. But if we follow the comp plan, we're very limited where they can do that. So that's just my take on it. And I'm not saying everyone's going to get approved.
Yeah, that was what I was going to
Go ahead.
ask. We need to set a date when we can work with the Planning and Zoning Board and kind of sit down and really
First comp plan review.
delve
first
into
comp
this
plan
and
review.
have a review, and it needs to be sooner than later, I think, because there's too many questions coming into play that needs to happen, like, very soon.
Well, Commissioners, when this came up last week, I think I mentioned that the plan was to wait for our Planning and Zoning Director to
Right.
return from
Yeah.
leave. And as soon as that happens, then I think we'll be scheduling that.
So probably.
Well, and can we, as one part of that, include the discussion we had about the subdivisions that are existing and
Right.
whether we're going
I think I brought that up last week.
Right. I mean,
I'm
there's
just
a
throwing
lot
out the things
that we really need to make sure that we get a detailed list, and that we really need to make sure that we have
Right.
addressed some of the unintended
Yeah.
consequences.
consequences.
Yeah, it's
we're
not like we're trying to redo the entire comp plan, but there are some things that keep coming back at us that we at least need to take a review at. So, Mark, I know as soon as the person gets back from medical, we'll get a date set on that, and hopefully we can go forward.
Okay.
Is everybody okay with that?
So that's my two so far.
Okay.
So, and I'm sure I'll have some more, but
Yeah.
I just want everybody to be thinking about that.
I think we've all been hit with a couple. Mike?
I just have one more question on administrative businesses. What effect does the President's executive order on the vaccinations have on Leavenworth County, or do we know yet?
By that, Leavenworth County, do you mean Leavenworth County government?
Government.
At this point in time, none. The intent of the President's order is that the Occupational Safety Hazard, OSHA, will formulate regulations that would eventually require a vaccine, will create a vaccine mandate. Under the situation facing Leavenworth County, we're under the Kansas Industrial Act, so OSHA does not directly apply. That mechanism of OSHA does not directly apply to Leavenworth County. Further, to my knowledge, OSHA has yet to formulate any such proposed regulations. So as of today, although the President has announced that the mandate will be formulated, it has not been so formulated.
And does that have to go through a process where there's a comment period and all those type of things?
I'm not specifically versed on how OSHA would adopt their own internal regulations. Generally, there is a comment period, but I can't tell you that that would be followed in this case.
Okay.
Okay, anything else, Commissioner? No, sir. All righty. Consent agenda. Is there anything that needs to be pulled before we move on? If not, I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second?
Motion is second. Discussion. Mr. Stephen?
Aye.
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 Okay, formal board action. We tabled to consider a motion to appoint the Sherman Township Clerk for a couple of weeks. Next one, welcome, Bill. Consider a motion to accept FY 2023 off-system bridge program award for ST 100 bridge replacement over Little Stranger Creek on Fairmont Road.
All right. Hello, Commissioners. This will be the first of probably 3 acceptance and approvals that we do have to complete with formal board action. As the first, this is the acknowledgement and the acceptance of the 80/20 cost share for the off-system bridge program for the replacement of ST 100. The construction cost of that bridge is approximately $705,000, with a participating cost of $563,484. At this time, we're not allocating any funds, so there is no necessary allocation. It's just the acceptance of the grant and the acknowledgement that we do intend on continuing with the project. Subsequently, there will be later ones that do validate that amount and obligate us to accepting those funds and paying for our 20%.
This bridge didn't even last 50 years.
No, it's not very old.
No,
The
I remember when it was built.
Deck has substantial full depth failure on it. A lot of bad spots on the deck.
That's probably why concrete specs change over the years.
Yeah, that's true.
It was an old truss bridge here before this one, and a vehicle had hit the truss and twisted and knocked the bridge down.
Knocked it clear down. I didn't.
Well, no, it didn't. I twisted it. And so I'm sure there wasn't any off-system bridge money for that one. But it was like 1973, I think. I remember it, but man, all of our bridges don't last more than 50 years.
Yeah.
You got to up our game a little bit.
Yeah.
Anyways, you ready for a motion?
Any other commissioner have any comments? Commissioner Smith, go ahead.
Chairman, I move that we accept the 2023 Off-System Bridge Program Award for ST 100 bridge replacement over Little Stranger Creek on Fairmount Road.
Second. Motion is second. Do we have any more? Commissioner Stephen?
Aye.
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 You forgot this time. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Okay. Presentations, discussions. I think we have anything before additional comments? Okay, additional public comment. This is for people to speak for 5 minutes. And I've got a list here, and I think I can correctly say your names, but I don't. Forgive me. Stacy Smith. Come on up, ma'am. Welcome. You get your address, and 5 minutes is yours.
First of all, I'd like to be this on public record. Good morning. My name is Stacy Schmidt. My address is 17322 Golden Road. I'm here to ask that you review and rescind the SUP for the Lenape Sand Quarry detailed in Resolution 20-2023. It would be an understatement to say that the public was merely disappointed with this board when the SUP was approved in July of 2020. At that time, we committed ourselves to watch the practices of Kaw Valley and report them to you should we find that any terms of the SUP were being violated. As it has now been over a year since this resolution was adopted, the time for Leavenworth County citizens to speak has come. On August 17, 2021, I sent an inquiry to Crystal Voth to see if Planning and Zoning had done or was preparing to do a required annual review of this SUP. Ms. Voth's response was that, quote, to date, there have been no annual reviews of this SUP because there have been no operations take place on the site, end quote. What Ms. Foth failed to take into account was that 3 of the mandatory conditions, numbers 4, 7, and 15, involved supporting documents that were to be submitted to her department within 30 days of the SUP's approval. Had Kaw Valley indeed been, quote, committed to complying with each of the conditions, end quote, as proclaimed by their attorney, it would have found the time to satisfy conditions 4, 7, and 15. Since it did not, as Cora requests have confirmed, the BOCC should follow the rules laid out in the county's zoning and subdivision regulations. Specifically, Section 5, which states that, quote, failure to abide by the conditions of the approval by the applicant shall be cause for an action to rescind approval of the special use permit, end quote. Kaw Valley has clearly failed to abide by the conditions of the SUP. I ask that this board now do your job and rescind the SUP adopted in Resolution 2020-23. Thank you for listening, and I would like to share everything I have supporting this speech.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Mike McDonald. Morning, Mike.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Mike McDonald. Live at 14439 Wood End Road, Bonner Springs, which is in Leavenworth County, not the other county. I am here to ask that you terminate your approval of the special use permit for Lenape Sand Quarry, which is detailed in Resolution 2020-23. SUPs have time frame requirements that must be followed by the applicant. I'm going to talk about how the applicant, Kaw Valley, has failed in this case. Article 22, Section 8 of the Zoning and Subdivision Regulations of Leavenworth County lays out the guidelines to terminate an SUP approval. It states, quote, cessation of the activity covered by an approved special use permit for a period of 12 months shall be considered abandonment of the special use permit, end quote. Regulations also note, and I quote, reestablishment of the activity shall require a new application and a new approval of the special use permit, end quote. On July 24th, 2020, the law firm representing Kaw Valley boasted on its website about how it had secured an SUP from Leavenworth County for a sand quarry operation. However, it has been noted by another speaker that by the end of the 30-day period following this approval, Kaw Valley has failed to meet the 3 mandatory conditions of the SUP. Please note that Kaw Valley did submit a draft of a development agreement pertaining to road work. That particular document was exempt from the 30-day time frame. That document was submitted to county staff on August the 5th of 2020, and 3 days later, Kaw Valley filed suit against the Board of County Commissioners over the roadway and the development agreement. Again, note that this time frame for the development agreement was not included in the 30 days I mentioned earlier. In just over a year, Kaw Valley's attorney has made no less than 17 filings in district court in an effort to relieve Kaw Valley of the roadway construction requirements. At no time during that year did Kaw Valley seek relief from the county or from the courts for any other conditions of the SUP. Quite the opposite. Kaw Valley forcefully declared its readiness to comply with these requirements and passed statements to the Board of County Commissioners. Of the conditions found in the SUP not related to road work, the 3 of them, the numbers 4, 7, and 15, were not completed within 30-day time period, and also, in fact, they have not been completed within the 1-year time period either. These are submission of a landscape berm design, which is number 4, update the general site plan, which is number 7, and provide a copy of this Kansas surface mining permit number 15. None of these items have anything to do with actual excavation or transport of sand and are not related to the road work. It might be possible to argue that Kaw Valley has not abandoned this project if these conditions had been complied with. However, they are not complied with, and any of these conditions could have been done long before the district court's ruling in favor of Leavenworth County regarding the roadway requirement. So as it is today, Kaw Valley did not meet at least 3 conditions as required by the Board of County Commissioners within the first year of their SUP. They have ceased all work, all their activity working with county staff for at least a continuous period of 12 months. So it is clear that Kaw Valley has ceased to work to maintain their SUP in good standing and has thereby abandoned the project. It is now the time for the BOCC to follow its adopted rules and published regulations and terminate this SUP that has been adopted in Resolution 2020-23. I have copies of my remarks for each of the commissioners. I thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you, Mike.
Are you enjoying retirement?
Every minute.
All right.
I just love coming into large government buildings in my retirement.
Thank you, Mike.
Well, it's nice and air conditioned in here.
Today it is.
Yeah.
Okay, the third speaker I have is Nancy Carpenter. Good morning.
Did you have a nice drive up?
Yes, I was concerned that the fog was smoke, but it was fog. But that was like, whoa, this isn't good. Good morning, folks. My name is Nancy Carpenter, 14681 Kreider Road, Bonner Springs, which is also in Leavenworth County. Thank you for taking the time to listen to us about Resolution 2020-23. I trust that you are all familiar with the document I sent you on September 8th. It is no secret that the public never wanted you to approve Kaw Valley's sand pit, but that is not what is at issue now. What is at issue is that you granted an SUP to a company who has not followed through on the mandatory conditions of that SUP. In fact, over a year has passed, and that company has made no effort to meet those conditions that have nothing to do with the day-to-day operations of a sand plant. Comments made during the public hearing on July 8, 2020, made it abundantly clear that Kaw Valley never intended to abide by the road requirement condition of the SUP. Their lawsuit against the BOCC came as no surprise to anyone who tracked the permitting process. That lawsuit was specifically targeted at the roadway requirements. The Planning and Zoning Department did not point out to you that Kaw Valley was in violation of other conditions of the SUP. Kaw Valley did not meet the conditions requiring a certified landscape plan, updating the site plans, and a surface mining permit, all to be submitted within 30 days of the SUP's approval. Why would a lawsuit about roadway requirements excuse Kaw Valley from meeting these conditions? In October of 2020, Kaw Valley worked with a firm, Terra Technologies, to assist in securing a jurisdictional determination from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers on property they own that is adjacent to the Lenape Sand Quarry site. What that means is they've studied the wetlands on that adjacent land. This seems to indicate that Kaw Valley is already taking steps to start another sand mining operation in that area. Yet they couldn't make the effort to complete the mandatory conditions imposed by Leavenworth County in the SUP that you granted. This solidifies Mike's contention that Kaw Valley abandoned this project, unless for some reason you think a lawsuit about roadway requirements counts as activity on the project. The Leavenworth Times reported on September 8th that Kaw Valley plans to appeal Judge King's ruling. This will not change the evidence presented to you about Kaw Valley's disregard of the conditions of the SUP and their abandonment of the project, for which Resolution 2020-23 was adopted. It is time for you to make a decision. Do you rescind this SUP because Kaw Valley did not abide by the conditions? Or do you terminate this SUP because activity on the project has ceased for over a year? Or do you ignore the county's rules and regulations about special use permits to benefit Kaw Valley? Thank you for your time and consideration as always. And I'd like my comments to be added to the public record. And I have copies of them for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike? A question for him.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. A question for David, Mr. Van Paris. First of all, there's been a lot of very good questions raised, but is this the type of questions that we should take up in an executive session, or as far as talking about the SUP, or should we wait for the 30-day period to run, or where do we stand on moving ahead on this process?
Commissioner Stieben, members of the Commission, if I'm going to provide you legal counsel on a matter such as this, particularly since there is pending litigation on it, I'd prefer it be done in executive session.
All right. Could we set one of those for a future meeting?
You can.
I mean, I think if the rest of the commissioners are agreeable to that.
I have no problem going to executive session, something like that. Since we're in litigation right now, that's something we really we shouldn't.
Right.
Because of what the attorneys advise us, even though I respect what was said from all the people that come forward. So we can set that up in the future unless the commissioners have any reason they would not want to hear our attorney's remarks.
Nope, that's what we need to do.
Okay. But we'll set that up at a further date. Thank you, David. All righty. Folks, I appreciate you coming out and speaking with us today on this. Additional comments? I guess, Mike, you have anything?
Other than we were at the Price Chopper open house. Grand reopening.
Grand reopening.
Ribbon cutting.
Ribbon cutting for the reopening.
It was a nice event.
Spit it out, Mike.
Yep.
It was a nice event.
Yes. Parking lot was full.
Okay.
Yeah, I parked on the side of the building. Couldn't even park in a parking lot.
Anything else, Mike?
That's it.
Okay. Jeff?
No, had Easton City Hall council meeting, got the MOU signed between the county and the city to trade some streets that the county was maintaining. One of their streets is down the center line, half in the county, half in the city. So
Of course it is.
yeah, so luckily we changed that rule where if there's any annexations done, they either have to take all the right-of-way or none of the right-of-way, so we don't have those issues anymore. But in that case, it's already done, so we traded them our county routes 16 and 21, I think, all the way through the city for the half street. So it clears up
I
a
did
lot of
that in
problems.
Lansing when I was on DeSoto Road. Yeah, exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Glad you guys put that in place. Okay, that's good.
That's
Jeff,
about
anything
it.
else?
That's about it.
Vicky?
City Commission meeting last night. Then the mental health. No, let's see. The Leavenworth Development Corporation meeting last Thursday. Then Saturday was the volunteer kind of opportunity thing that was done by the Rural Leavenworth County Inc. out at the fire station number 2. Commissioner Stieben and I went to on Saturday.
Forgot about that one.
Yeah.
Seems like a long time ago.
And that was, but it was a very nice and well-attended event there. So.
Okay. Thank you, Vicky. Doug?
Just had Bayshore City Council meeting last week. I missed the Bayshore Car Show last weekend. And we'll probably, have something similar coming up in the future that Commissioner Culbertson was talking about on roads and annexations.
Yeah.
Be determined. I believe we have a work session with the City of Bayshore here at 10:45.
Yeah. Okay, we got a work session at 10:45 with the City of Basehor on 155th Street, but if nothing else, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Second.
Motion second. Stephen?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Didn't even get it out this time. Okay, we are adjourned. I'll see